Welcome to Risque Business News. I'm your host, Laura.
And I'm May.
And today we have a special guest, stand-up comedian, very funny, and a bit of an interesting past. We are going to talk about the troubled teen industry you heard that right, with Lindsay Lucido. So,
hello, that's
strap
me.
in. Yeah, enjoy.
Where's the money? I don't understand how you make money.
Hold on.
From that, though.
2 stand-up comics in New York City.
Just learned a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna ask all the stupid questions that you might be thinking at home, but are afraid to ask people.
Making it to where you feel like you're too stupid to be able to ever engage in it, they win.
Why the fuck are they doing this?
It's to make money. It's Risque Business News. Lindsay, thank you for doing the pod.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are so excited to have you to talk a little bit about your trauma.
Oh,
yeah. I know this is so awkward. We're like, hey, thanks for coming in. Anyway, tell us about the worst thing that's ever happened to you. We're really curious, and so are our listeners.
Immediately.
No, it's my favorite. It's honestly my favorite topic. I'll be like on a first date, and I'm like, do you want to hear about my past?
I mean, to be fair, a lot of your stand-up has, references to this. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel like we're not being too intrusive.
No, not at all.
I feel like I've had like 20%, not even, like tiny little things go wrong in my life, and that's all I fucking talk about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I've honestly only recently started like talking about it just because it's like, how do you make it funny? But
Right.
it's not like it's.
I'm
I'm like,
to see her live.
Yeah.
Check out how she does it. She nails it.
So for those of you that have not seen the Paris documentary, I Am Paris. There's obviously a lot more documentaries out there about this, but we're talking about the troubled teen industry. So that is essentially like wilderness camps for sometimes, not always, for troubled teens, quote unquote. And so
People like Lindsay.
people like normal ass fucking people that like drank once with their friends.
oh, I didn't even do that.
Oh my God. So just like out the gate, like obviously this is for profit and it's a very profitable industry,
It is.
right?
In fact, I read online that it's a $23 billion industry. So people are making money. It's sort of like adjacent to like privatized prisons. I guess it is kind of privatized prisons just for youths.
But you get to opt in, which what?
Not the kid. Well, the adults. The adults do.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Good. Important
Yeah,
distinction.
we do not have a choice.
I don't think a lot of kids are raising their hands
No.
for this experience.
No.
Maybe one weird kid.
There was one kid in my program who like chose to go there.
What?
Yep. I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, so much to go into with all of this. First and foremost, this like recently kind of came into the news. I feel like no one really knows about this. When did you go into, well, first of all, what was the camp? What do you,
Program?
Yeah. Excursion?
School?
Yeah.
So I went to so a lot of the schools have like a prerequisite of going to a wilderness program.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a wilderness program in Utah. I was there for about 7 weeks. Everyone's there for like a different...
Where did you grow up?
Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Utah for like 7 weeks. And then I was under the impression I was coming home after that.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And all the kids were like, oh, no one goes home after this.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no, because we have a new school picked out for me. I know I'm going home. And then it's like a week before you graduate, you're given like, so this is where you're going.
Oh my God.
And
And you're like, that's not Chicago?
no, not at all. I was like,
shit.
This is not the small, cute school I thought I was going to.
It's going to be a long commute, Mom and Dad, from home, right?
Like the diversity packets on them and they're all on the lawn. Like
Yeah. So I was in Montana. So.
Okay.
Wow.
So let's like back it up a little bit. Tell us about like what prompted your parents to look into this path for you, and what was your experience getting there in the first place? Because I know just from the documentaries I've watched that people get oftentimes like taken in the middle of the night. So.
Yeah. So a lot of people are sent there because they're like troubled, like they're like sneaking out, doing drugs.
Being a teenager.
I was literally the opposite though. I didn't socialize. My parents at one point were like, hey, we're going to instate a social quota for you where you have to go out 3 times a week. And I started crying and I went, does volunteering count?
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
Yeah. So I was like the opposite. But I had really bad depression, anxiety, OCD, eating disorder stuff. And I was very messed up. Can we swear on here?
Oh, wow. No, this is a news program. This is actually live, and it's going out to all the children.
It's on CNN.
Yes, yeah, it's on CNN.
I was very fucked up. In my parents, I was very messed up. So I had like super bad depression, anxiety, all that stuff. I was like threatening to kill myself all the time.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was like refusing to go to school, and if my parents like didn't call me out, like give me an excused absence, I would threaten to kill myself.
Oh,
because I was like, I was raised in sort of like this prestigious is the wrong word, like very high, well-to-do family.
Okay.
Where everyone like went to like the best school,
Image
and so
stuff.
there was like a lot of pressure on me that I put on myself because I compared myself to like my sister who was a genius and all that. And so I was like, I have to get into the best college and all this, and I put all this pressure on myself, and it kind of just led to like shutting down completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So like really what you needed was a good therapist and
A hug.
a hug.
I mean, they did try that. So I actually, when I was 12, requested to see a therapist. I was like, I diagnosed
Who
myself.
are you? You were like
Yeah.
45 years old. I like to volunteer, and could I see a therapist, please? It's like 03. How was this the early 2000s or what?
Yeah, so I was 12. Yeah. Early
Yeah,
2000s.
okay.
I'm 29, so whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
the math is there.
Yeah.
I like diagnosed myself with depression as a kid.
That's crazy.
I
TikTok
told-
wasn't even around to tell
No,
you that you had ADHD and depression and all this stuff.
Genuinely, like the internet was like getting going at that
I didn't
point.
know
Yeah.
this was like purely based on I was like, I'm sad all the time.
Yeah.
And I was actually a swimmer, which I feel like we
Yeah,
bonded.
fucks you up.
And swimming was like I had so much anxiety and depression around swimming itself.
I'm sure. 'Cause so metrics based, it's like you win or you lose. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's no ambiguity with that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But anyways, I like diagnosed myself, and I was like, Mom, I need a therapist. And she was like, yeah, we'll get you one. But eventually I was like, no, like I need one. It was like an ultimatum. I was like, I need a therapist because
Were they fighting you on getting a therapist?
I think there was stigma around it back then.
Yeah.
There was. Yeah, you're right.
Because when I
Which
did
is
get
so
one,
I
did
know.
get one, they told me not to like tell other people that I was in therapy.
Yeah.
But I did, obviously.
Right. Meanwhile, your parents are like, we'll just send you to this wilderness camp. We could tell all of our friends.
Yeah.
Right.
She loves the outdoors.
So I went to therapy, then I went to like family therapy, group therapy. I went to an intensive outpatient program for like school refusal, school anxiety. Then I went to like an OCD like partial hospitalization program. I just like went to all these
Yeah.
different
Took a tour.
Yeah, I
Did
did
the
a
whole
lot of
deal.
different things, and like nothing was working.
For that part, so it sounds like you wanted to see a therapist, and then were you like looking at all these other things, and like were you kind of like really into going to try all these different things?
No, so once
When did that shift?
So once I was the one who was like, I need therapy. Then once I started therapy, they're like, you're really fucked up.
Okay.
And you
Oh,
need all
They're
these
like,
things.
wow.
Yeah. So what started off as my idea became very much not my idea.
Yeah.
I just hated going to therapy, even though I was the one who like asked to go.
Right.
So yeah, I was sent to all these things like unwillingly. I remember I would refuse to go to like group and family therapy, and my parents would like offer to pay me to go.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, a little
yeah.
side gig.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Get that
Do you
hustle.
babysit for money? No.
therapy.
Talk shit about my parents to a therapist.
Yeah.
And they pay me. It's great.
But in family therapy, it's like a lot of your parents and the therapist against you.
Oh, I'm
you
sure.
know,
Of
because it's like
course.
they're the ones who find the therapist. They're not going to find a therapist
Yeah.
who's like, yeah, we agree with your daughter.
Right. Yeah. Actually, we're going to turn your daughter against you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right. Totally.
Mhm.
But so yeah, after like a lot of those programs didn't work, they were like, we don't know what to do with you.
Uh-huh.
And there's like this thing called an educational consultant, just for families that can afford it. And they're like basically these expensive people who basically get kickbacks from programs
Oh, my God.
for sending kids to their
Wow.
programs.
How do you live with yourself?
I know.
my God.
I know. So basically, the goal is like to get all the kids to these programs because like they want the money.
The money,
Right.
of course.
Um,
They want to get fucking new Camrys.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, honestly, great
Parents.
job.
Yeah.
It's a very profitable job,
is.
you know, if you're
Yeah.
looking.
These things are
If you
very
have
expensive.
no morals, fantastic line of work. Highly
Yeah.
recommend.
Yeah.
If you have morals, probably not.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, basically they said like that was my parents' only choice, you know, was to send me to a place like this.
Wow.
And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know if they sent me to Wilderness knowing I was going to be gone for a while, or if they truly believed I was coming right back, and then the people were like, she needs to go somewhere else.
Right.
And then did they ever? Have you asked them? Not to
No,
be weird, but
actually, maybe I should.
Yeah, maybe you should.
I'd be curious, just like because that's
Well, I've read some testimonies online, specifically from Breaking Code Silence, which
Yeah.
I think is Paris Hilton's foundation.
Maybe.
Right? I think,
I've
or she's
heard of
heavily
it,
involved
yeah,
with Breaking
yeah.
Code Silence, which is essentially like talking, whatever, like
was code
Spreading
silence like a
awareness.
thing.
More recently, it's like become a thing. There's like a hashtag, on like TikTok and stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's like Paris Hilton's.
Yeah, I don't know if it was before
specifically.
Paris or after Paris,
Yeah.
but whatever. She's like boosted it quite a bit, but whatever. Anyway, there's all these testimonies on there, and a lot of them say that they tried to call their parents and tell them what was going on, but like they weren't allowed to, or they're like monitoring phone calls, like as though you're like in a legitimate prison.
Right. So like phone calls are monitored. That was like the big thing. You didn't get a lot of phone calls, and they're monitored, and it's basically like if you start talking negatively, they'll sort of be like
Wow.
shut it down, or like we wrote letters, but we could only write to like our parents, and those were censored. So it was like if you talk too negatively about the school, they would like send it back, and they'd be like, you have to rewrite it.
Oh my God.
But my parents like they were aware of stuff that was going on. It wasn't like they
Okay.
were totally like in the dark. I think they were just told like, no, this is like
This is what she
necessary.
needs.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like, it sounds like, it sounds like you don't have like a ton of, like,
Animosity
yeah,
towards them.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah,
like
it
super
sounds-
mad at your parents. I respect that you're kind of like
They were also
sympathizing
taken.
with them. Yeah, they were taken too in their own way, and they were like, sounds like they did a lot to help you before, and so they were sort of like, I don't
Right.
know, this person that we trust, this educator
Right.
person or whatever, is telling us what we need, and we're
Exactly,
just gonna go with
yeah.
them.
And this was
Trust
also
the experts or whatever.
And this was definitely before there was a lot more. Like, I feel like nowadays people are very distrustful. A lot of stuff. They'll do their internet research. They'll like get more like, direct information from people who've gone through it. Versus back then, like there wasn't as many like message boards and stuff
Right,
like that.
right.
It was a little bit before then, but it's still going on. So no excuses,
Yeah.
folks.
Although a lot of like my school has been shut down,
Okay.
but not by like the government. I don't know. There was like money laundering and
What?
I don't know. They gave like 2 days notice to everyone, the staff, the parents that were there, and they were like, "Hey guys, we're closing our doors in 2 days. You gotta take your kids."
Holy shit.
That's nuts.
yeah.
Also, we love money laundering.
I
here.
know. We'll
Yeah,
follow
yeah,
up on the
yeah.
next
Yes,
episode and
I'm
do
like,
a deep dive
ooh.
on that.
They
Yeah.
were like, "Hey, you know, it's really bad to listen to risque music, but money laundering is okay."
Yeah, that's fine. Wash
That's
that money,
hilarious.
Clean it up.
That reminds me of like the church. Was there a
Yeah.
Was there a religious element to this? Feels like a very like religious element
Yeah,
kind of thing.
adjacent.
So, while it wasn't like associated with Mormonism, but there were a lot of like Mormons who worked there. Like,
Are you Mormon?
No.
Okay.
And was your family religious?
no, my mom was raised Jewish. My dad was raised Catholic, Christian, one of
Okay.
those.
Yeah.
But I was raised like basically atheist, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So no religion at all. And like my therapist was Mormon, but I don't think that they ever really pushed the religion. I think though
Okay.
there was a lot of like confession based type, like there was so much like confession type things
Interesting,
at our
yeah.
school.
Probably to get out any like if you were gonna do something negative or whatever to
Right.
just know about it.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, someone's listening to your
Sneaky
confession,
snakes.
and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe keep an eye on her. She's planning on sneaking out tonight.
Right.
She feels bad about it.
Did anybody try to escape?
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes. We had
God.
runaways all the time.
Okay, so backing up, so your family puts you through a couple different types that are normal, legit. It sounds
Right.
like various forms of therapy. They
Right.
don't stick,
No.
and then they make a decision to look into this wilderness camp. And then what did you know they were looking
So
at it?
yeah, actually, I helped pick a wilderness program. So
Oh, okay.
I knew I was going to that, and
And you 7 weeks. You were like, word, maybe
it
it'll
wasn't.
help.
So it wasn't like a 7-week program. It's like, hey, until you're ready. And I wasn't
Oh,
like
interesting.
excited to go, but I also was like, my parents want me to go. I might as well help choose one that's not as like intense. Also,
Yeah.
I'm diabetic, so I ended up going to one that accepted diabetics, which was probably a lot less intense than the ones
Sure, I
that
bet.
didn't. I ended up getting MRSA there though.
Oh my god.
And
What
like,
what even is that? I know
Isn't
it's
that
bad.
like
it's like a something resistant staph infection. It took up like half
Oh.
my thigh. It took me 10 days.
Yeah.
10 days for them to take me to the doctor.
Oh my god.
I had to go back to the doctor 8 times. Like I got Giardia. It's just like
Holy shit.
God.
it's like these 21-year-olds like taking care of 16-year-olds.
That's
you know.
insane.
yeah.
They're like freaking when they bring in the diabetics. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God. And then because I was diabetic, like I had to stop like during our hikes, and then all the kids would be like, oh, like we just want to get there. Come on, like hurry up.
And you're like, I'm literally
Yeah.
diabetic.
Yeah.
Like,
And then
Sorry.
and this one girl, she was like, actually I had to change groups because I was like bullied.
Oh my God.
Well, that's the other thing is I'm sure the other kids were still like, you know, you shouldn't be there, but you're also still dealing with stuff.
Right.
So-
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But like this one girl was like, no, it's probably better that like we stop, because if we don't, you might pass out, and then that would like hold us up even longer.
Oh my God. That was her thought. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. So I was aware
Okay,
I was
so-
going there.
So you're aware
Okay.
you were going there. You thought it was going to be until you were ready, but like a
What does that
defined
mean?
amount,
Yeah.
like
summer.
like
The summer.
the summer, yeah, not forever or
Right.
whatever, for years. And how did you end up going? Like, what was that process of like actually? Was that the situation where you get taken in the middle of the night kind of thing? Or
So this
normally
this is where people do get taken in the middle of the night.
Okay.
Like a lot of my friends were. I was not, because
You
you
knew.
know I was honestly sent there for being like so much of a rule follower. Like
Oh, wow.
like my parents would be like, just like let loose. Like I think they would have liked me to have tried drugs. Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So they knew I wasn't gonna like run away because I was gonna get sent away.
I'm like, do you do drugs now?
yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, look at you go.
Yeah.
Flourishing. She's drinking a mimosa.
You are
I-
having a mimosa.
I am.
Look at that, mom
Wow.
and dad.
I don't really drink, but my parents have encouraged not alcoholism. They've been like, why don't you ever drink? Loosen up.
Well, here we go. We have video evidence.
I don't really drink ever, but I mean, it's not like a
Fucking cheers.
yeah.
Cheers, whatever.
Yeah. But a lot of my friends were like middle of the night, you know,
Wow.
kidnapped. I was not, and sometimes I feel guilt. I'm like, oh, I
That's
didn't get
crazy.
the real
No, no,
experience.
The real experience. You said that when I was texting you. You were like, I feel guilty sometimes because it felt like it was less abusive than the others, which is an insane thing that I
Yeah.
read. I was like, what? Like,
Well, yeah, because like
any form of abuse is not okay.
like
for
a
the
lot
record.
of a lot of the programs that I've like heard about, because I'm part of like a survivors group,
Uh-huh.
and they'd be like, yeah, we were forced to like lay on the ground, face like on the ground, and just lay like that for hours. And I was like, I never had to do
Oh,
that.
my God.
My trauma isn't real.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
in the Paris doc, she talks about having to shower naked in front of people.
Oh, no, we didn't have to
You
do
didn't have to do
that.
that.
No, no.
Okay, that's good.
No. We did like when we came back, if we were like off campus for something, which was rare, and all, we had to like go into the bathroom and like strip. No one was like looking at you though. You
Uh-huh.
were like in the stall, but you had to take off all your clothes and like give it to the staff, and then you had to like bend down and cough, I think.
Oh,
But like no one was watching you do that.
oh, okay, okay.
They were just like kind of looking under the
okay.
stall.
So there was like some level of privacy
yeah,
maintained.
yeah.
Yeah, because I know, like, I've had friends go to treatment for anorexia and stuff like that, and I know that they do watch people shower, but the reason being so that you're not exercising in the
Right.
shower. Yeah.
So I actually
I
did go
know.
to a treatment center for bulimia after
Yeah.
this, and yeah, like you have to have like the door open to the bathroom to make sure you're not like throwing up. And
Yeah.
I need a cough. Can I don't want to
course.
like
Go ahead.
Get in there,
Cough
girl.
it up.
clear my throat.
Yeah.
Our showers were like timed, sort of like it couldn't exceed 5 minutes. And then if it was like found out that like someone was taking them like too long, we didn't usually time it unless someone complained about someone taking like showers for too long, and then
Yeah.
we would have to start like timing it.
Wow.
Yeah, this whole thing is wild. So then you're in this wilderness camp. What was like you're hiking, I heard. What
Yeah.
else are you like
Yeah, what's your
sleeping
day-to-day?
outside?
Yeah, so it's funny. The first night, some people it lasts longer than the first night. They are afraid you're going to run away, which valid concern.
Yeah, yeah.
So the way you sleep while they're afraid you're going to run away is you sleep next to a staff member in a sleeping bag, and you get wrapped in a tarp. If you know, tarp is very loud.
Yeah.
So you get wrapped in a tarp, and then the staff member sleeps on top of the end of the tarp.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
So that you can't undo yourself, and if you are, it's loud and it wakes them up.
Who the fuck are these people that like
Yeah.
are like
innovators.
yeah. Is it the kind of thing that it's like people that have been to these programs before then become the counselors, or no? Are they like totally
They're
separate?
just looking
from
for
that?
a
Just like
part-time
abusive
job.
people. That
Not
just
there, but the owner of our school had been to a program, which
Okay.
always blew my
Whoa.
mind.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, these people, I feel like they're all like 21-year-olds. A lot of Mormons.
Oh, okay.
It was
So
in
they think
Utah.
they think they're doing
Yes,
a good
they're
thing.
doing
for
a
God.
missionary.
That's
Oh my
not-
God.
Your mission
Yeah,
is
yeah.
to sleep on this tarp and keep this child from running
Yeah.
away into the woods.
Yeah.
So what was like the average age?
I'd say like maybe 15. I was 16 when I got sent away, which was maybe on the older end.
Yeah.
The youngest at my school was 13. He was technically in 8th grade, but
Okay.
which is kind of, and he was like a good kid too. It was kind of just like
Damn.
those things where the parents couldn't deal with being parents.
Wow.
You know, that whole thing.
Yeah. So there was like, excuse me. There was a lot of hiking. Again, my program was like probably less intense than a lot of the other ones because they accepted diabetics. A lot of the programs, it was like you have to learn how to like make fire before you can go. Also, the benefit of getting MRSA was
What
a
are the only
sentence.
scenarios where you're like, a little bit of a perk.
I was kind of popular because I got in my second group. So I got MRSA. After 10 days, they finally took me to the doctor. I was like in the desert crying in pain.
Yeah.
I like couldn't hike because it was
desert?
going into my muscle.
Oh my God.
And
Lindsay's so cool. She got MRSA.
Yeah, right.
We're so jealous.
okay. No, here's the reason I was, well, also some other girl got it, but mine was like way bigger.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
fuck
Good for
her.
you.
Yeah,
what
nah,
a
you're-
poser.
yeah,
What
what
a
an
such a
idiot.
copycat.
Yeah.
But I became
Yours
kind of
sucks.
cool because the doctor told them that I had to stay around base camp and could only hike a mile a day at the most.
Hell yeah.
For like several weeks. So all the kids were like incredible. Like they were in my
Yeah.
group and they were
Like,
we
give
can
me
just
some of that MRSA.
well, no, but like the whole group got to just stay with us. So like, and I
Oh,
got to
that's
shower every day because of it.
Wow.
Wait, what?
People
Hold on,
don't
hold on.
shower every day.
Hold on. That implies that that's not the default.
No,
You're out there hiking and sleeping outside and you're not showering every day?
no, you could shower. I mean, showering was like standing under a tree with a water bottle. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
But I was allowed to use an actual shower because
You had to
I
clean
had
your
to
you were gonna
wounds.
fucking die from the
yeah,
MRSA.
exactly. Which honestly, like, why was I hospitalized?
You usually
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
for MRSA and given
Yeah.
super intense antibiotics because
Yeah.
it can kill you.
Yeah,
You should make one of those TikToks with the sound that's like me getting MRSA in this camp. It's like, you're gonna be popular.
Yes!
You're gonna be popular.
That's a great idea. I do
Yeah.
have a TikTok.
Yeah, follow her on TikTok. She's got a great TikTok,
Yeah,
by the way.
Thank you.
Fun
But yeah, so like all the kids in my group got to basically live the life because I had MRSA.
Yeah.
So we just like chilled all day, which was incredible. Before that, it's like hiking all day. I remember times when like we couldn't find water, and it was like, oh, we don't know. The 21-year-olds leading us around
Yeah.
were like,
We're like, we are also looking for water.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
we had like iodine, I think, that we would put in the water. And you had to like wait an hour and a half for it to like fully, I think, filter whatever it's called, your water.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know if you've
Purify or
ever,
whatever.
if you've ever had to like stare when you're so thirsty,
Oh,
like
God.
undeniably thirsty, and you have to look at your water for an hour and a half before you can drink it. It is like the hardest thing, and it tasted horrible.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't care.
At least it's water.
It's
Right,
water.
right.
And honestly, I swear to God, I've never had the same sort. Like I've appreciated water so much ever since then. Like I
Yeah.
did not appreciate water. Every day I get water. I'm like, I remember when I didn't have.
Wow.
That's-
Wow.
Oh,
Insane.
Yeah.
That's an insane thing for a kid to be like, oh man, maybe I won't have water today.
Well, and then you had like so they would like ration out like food that you carried around, and it was kind of like that's your food for the week. If you finish it early, you're shit out of luck.
Great thing to be doing to somebody with an eating disorder.
And
Yes.
and also like
Yeah, perfect.
you're like hiking
yeah.
and
Growing your
yeah.
kids.
Right.
You're growing children that need like different amounts of food.
yeah. So they
yeah.
like kids were allowed to share if they wanted. So
This is Lord of the Flies.
Was there any drama around that? I would imagine.
Also, yeah.
it was kind of just like the kids would be like, well, that's your problem. You didn't ration. That's on you. I'm not gonna give you my food.
All right,
And it was
fair
kind of
enough.
like, yeah, it's on you.
So
Yeah.
how long did you end up staying in the wilderness program part?
So that was 7 weeks.
a long
I
And
believe.
you anticipated about that amount of time?
Yeah, that was like pretty average.
Okay.
I'd say.
So that part you were still like kind of like, okay, this is a lot. But
I
like,
actually-
fucking word.
I ended up enjoying it a little bit.
Okay.
At the
I can kind of see
Yeah.
like I like
It's like
hiking.
a really extreme hike.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
People do like no, it's different, but like Girl Scout camp and shit like that, Boy Scout camp where they go and like take them out into the
Right. Well, the
knolls
Boy
is another
Scouts
one.
get fucking diddled or
Right.
whatever. but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's like you pay extra for that.
I was
but
I was gonna ask a really dark question, but I'm like, so it
No, I
sounds
haven't
like
been
boys-
diddled.
Have you been diddled? No, but were any of these like 21-year-olds abusive in that way? I would imagine at some point.
I mean,
when
not
probably
like-
16-year-olds.
scenario.
Like
you
not
know?
to my knowledge, but it's entirely possible. I had a
Yeah.
giant crush on one of our guides. He's Mormon, and like I cried because I was like the next week. I think we like switched guides every week.
Yeah.
And I remember he was sent to a different
Wait, why?
group. Because like they had to take breaks, and then
yeah.
and then also I guess I don't really know other reasons. They just like switched
They
around.
just got caught diddling people too
Yeah,
often.
yeah,
Well,
so they
yeah.
got-
He was so hot.
Also,
oh my God.
I'm guessing like they probably didn't want these 21-year-olds to like realize you guys were getting kind of this was a bad situation, you know?
Well, I mean, like they
You
were
switch
there
them enough
too.
that
They were doing it
true.
too. They enjoyed. They were people who like probably enjoyed this kind of stuff.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I guess if you're opting in, that's a completely different thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Huh. Wow.
Okay.
So after the wilderness camp, then what? So then you get told that you're going somewhere else and you're like, say what?
So I actually remember. So like I said earlier, like you first get there and you tell everyone, yeah, I'm going back home after this, and everyone's like, that's never happened, like
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
history, and you're like, no, it's different for me.
Yeah. But it will
I'm
work for me.
Yeah,
Special.
You're
I
like,
have
it's like-
MRSA.
It's
I
like
don't know if you
people-
know I'm MRSA girl, so
It's like people with like open relationships. They're like, it's never worked before, but it's gonna work. For me.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
at least no, we have a better bond.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember when I like the first week I was there, a girl in my group was like her last week, and she was getting sent away to the school, and they like gave her a pamphlet, and it looked so cool, and it ended up being the school I was sent to, and we were like, oh my God, there's a pool? What? There was no pool. Like I don't know why, or maybe there was a pool. We weren't allowed to see it.
Okay.
Right. It was not applicable to your situation.
Wow.
So I remember she was like excited to go, so I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this must be like a cool place. It wasn't.
Sure.
Of course, the pamphlets want to make it look.
And was this during the school year?
So I was sent away, I think June. So then around end of July.
Okay. So right on.
Okay.
Yeah. So about August is when I started
The
there.
semester
Okay.
began.
So it's like a year-round school, obviously.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
there's school during the summer, but if you come in like beyond like the middle of the semester, you're in like orientation
Okay.
or whatever. Which
But they're teaching you like fucking math and shit, or no?
yes, not well, not
Okay.
well.
Okay.
I
okay.
remember I was kind of like I was like in an advanced program before I went there, and they had I was supposed to be taking calculus junior year,
Yeah.
and they needed like to get certified to teach
Oh,
calculus.
wow.
Like they had
God.
to like.
And you're in the
They're-
SATs.
they're like-
you're like, I don't know if this is right or not because it's like I could I could learn the wrong fucking thing.
Our calculus. So I had to go. I went a year without taking math because like they couldn't teach me math.
Oh.
And then like our teacher just like basically. We just watched MIT videos of a professor like explaining calculus.
The teacher's like, "Do you get this? I have no idea.
Yeah,
Can you explain it to me? I couldn't tell
I mean,
you."
that's not bad. You basically went to MIT.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I can't believe your parents
What a
sent you to
bargain.
MIT.
and
that
only
is a
for
bargain.
only for the cost of probably more than MIT.
Oh no. Oh my god.
but with none of the credentials.
No, and some forced labor as well.
Oh god. So okay, so you finished wilderness camp. Do you have a conversation with your parents where you're like, "Hey, what the hell? I'm not going home?" Question mark, question mark, question mark.
I don't think so. I think there was like my mom did come, and she like was the one who like transported me like from. Oh, when I had Giardia at this time, like in between.
God.
So okay, so when you get there,
So cool.
so like everyone talks about like, oh my god, the meal. What are you gonna eat when you get out of here? And like we just every day we're like, I'm gonna go to Culver. I don't know Culver, whatever
Yeah.
they have over there, and we all talk about our dream meal. And then, like, literally the last day there, I got really sick. And I think it was Giardia. I never went to the doctor because,
Jesus
medical
Christ.
neglect.
What are the symptoms of Giardia?
Well, so for me, there were, like, about 2 weeks. So the first thing I did was I just was throwing up. But I only threw up, like, once. Then it was just diarrhea for 2 weeks.
Oh,
and,
God.
like,
Oh,
I was
no.
dizzy every time I stood up. And I lost a bunch of weight. And everyone
Well-
at the school thought I was...
Laura's like, a win is a win.
A win is a win. Also, you are a twig, so I can't imagine that was
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
situation for you.
But they...
But a win is a win.
I mean, yeah.
We're joking.
Yeah, obviously could have.
Yeah,
But they thought I was making it up at my school. So...
Oh, wow.
There was a lot of like, because like they just met me and they're like, oh, this kid has attention. She just wants attention.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, no, I'm so hungry all the time. The fact that I'm not eating is like crazy.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Damn.
So you, yeah, okay. So you
So
didn't
everyone's-
you didn't have a conversation with your parents, and then you're just like, were you scared going to this school, or were you just like, this is what's happening
So,
next?
I
It's part of my
remember-
intensive treatment that you've gone through a lot of this at this point.
I remember being like, well, it's happening. Because like everyone told me it was going to happen. And then also, I honestly was like, I don't want to go home. Like my relationship with my parents was so bad at that time that I was like, I don't know how I would live with them
Uh-huh.
at this point.
Yeah.
And then what about the other kids? So like, first of all, at the wilderness camp, were the other kids like freaking out the whole time, like not wanting to be there? And then when they switched to the school, were they also like?
Yeah, like maybe tell us about like one person's like maybe not. I mean, I don't want to like tell someone else's story, but like what were some of the other reasons that people were in there,
Right.
and like what was their reaction to?
Right. I mean, there was a lot of like people who were having sex and doing drugs and sneaking out.
Everyone with their sex.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, having a boyfriend. What?
Whoa, illegal.
My parents were very upset when they found out I was having sex. I was 14 though, so they were very upset.
My parents
we had
were-
like a family meeting about me having sex. It was
Oh,
really
yikes.
uncomfortable. Yeah, but that was as far as it went.
They
I
were
didn't
like,
get sent away to a
"Let's-"
camp. I just had a very awkward family meeting about how I'm a slut.
My parents were literally the opposite. Like I would like be like, "Can I go sleep over at my boyfriend's house?" And they'd be like, "Yeah."
What?
I'm dead serious.
I
My mom is
know.
European. Like they
I
don't.
guess so.
And then as a result, it was like, all right, well.
I mean,
this
I don't know
isn't
what
even-
I don't know what my parents would have been like. They might have been like,
Yeah.
go over to a boy's house. Because
That's
I had
true,
no,
that's
like,
true.
I didn't socialize. I didn't ever date. I've
Yeah.
still never been in a relationship.
Yeah, viewers.
Single.
No more MRSA, so unless you want it, and then we'll
That
get it
we
back.
know
I
of.
did get
Yeah.
MRSA a few more times after. It like lives
Oh.
in your nose.
Oh, really?
But like then I got like cream and
Antibiotics.
it didn't get as bad because I went to the doctor.
Yeah, because you had
Uh-huh.
medical care.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
because
right,
it
right,
is the modern century.
Right,
we
right,
are in
right.
America.
Well,
Yeah.
oh, I forgot to mention this was like so I was like in the desert with Marissa and they were like, well, we have to wait till we get back to the van to do anything about it. We got back to the van and they're like these 21-year-olds. They're like, I guess we should try to pop it, you know? Like
Yeah.
Wait, what does that mean? What does MRSA show up? Is it like a pimple?
it's like
Is it? Can I watch
I
MRSA
mean,
videos online?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh no.
100%.
MRSA popping.
Oh, God.
It's I mean it's essentially a pimple that took up like half my leg, you know.
What?
What?
I wasn't picturing that.
No, I was thinking like cut like a wound.
No, it was like a pimple, but like went down deep into my muscle.
Oh fuck. So you could like pop and would like pus would come out.
So that's what they tried to do. That's what they did at the doctor too, but they were like trained.
With like
yeah,
yeah,
and like
scalpels
draining,
and like
draining
like,
it rather
gloves
than like,
on,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And
Yeah.
like disinfectant.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
and like knowledge.
Well, because I was
Training.
because I'm diabetic, I had needles. So these staff, you know, they would be like, "Oh, let's just poke it."
Oh my
21-year-olds.
God.
Think
I
about the
know.
21-year-olds
I
who
know.
know.
No.
And they had to drive the van and play loud music. They had to drive the van away with the kids in it because they didn't want them to hear my screaming.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I eventually did get care, they were like, "It's actually too deep for us to give you any sort of like topical anesthetic."
Oh my god.
And then when I went back to the doctor like a year later, they're like, "That's not true. Like you,
Wow.
there's no, you
do you have any
get-
scars from it on
Oh
your
yeah,
leg?
I have like
Yeah.
a big. I like don't have any feeling like
Wow.
on my right thigh, like from this.
Lindsay, I'm so sorry. That's
I
insane.
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
look, we get material from it.
That's
and,
true.
you
It's
know.
very funny. See your life.
Yeah.
I don't know what to
Oh, we're
tell
like
you.
worth it. No.
Yeah. How many bits?
I
though?
would
That's
do it
pretty good.
again.
That's
Yeah,
enough.
I would do it again.
in a
No, you
heartbeat.
would not.
Okay. Okay, so the other kids, they had sex beforehand. Some
They
of them
were
were
doing
drinking, drugs, but like,
Oh, violence. There was like a lot of fighting. One kid.
what about that kid who wanted to be there? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, I actually don't really know their situation. I mean, I'm friends with them still, but I think it was just like a home life wasn't good sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there was another kid who's no longer with us.
Oh.
He.
Sorry.
No, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like this is the way he lived his life was not safe. But he got in a fight and he like threw a kid like off of a parking garage.
Oh wow. What?
Whoa.
There were kids who
Wow.
were in gangs, but it was like later found out they were lying and like weren't actually
oh,
in
no.
gangs.
And they like they
Wanted
thought it
to
was
be.
cool that they
Yeah.
like didn't want to back down on
Yeah.
their lie.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's so, I've always thought about this. This is a sidebar, but like people that get like the teardrop tattoos, I'm like, why the fuck aren't we rounding them up and arresting
Right.
them? It's like, okay,
Exactly.
and it's like, okay, do you want to admit that you didn't kill somebody and you're just trying to look tough, or did you kill somebody? Like, what is going on?
Also, we actually should cover this at some point, but they recently changed some of the laws where you can't prosecute someone based on their music lyrics because they people kept confessing to crimes in songs, like famously, and then going
Yeah.
to jail. And I'm like,
That's so true.
I literally
It's
saw
a
a
good beat,
teardrop.
though.
I saw a teardrop today in the laundromat.
no
Really?
way.
Today, yeah. And I was
Wow.
just like, I guess that's just there.
Yeah.
She's just using the laundromat.
That'd be funny if I just get one for each of my abortions. I'm
Just
sorry, it's not funny at all.
cover.
This is whatever. Who cares?
It's
We're
hilarious.
usually more off the rails in this podcast.
This
I don't
is
know
way-
why I'm
this is-
censoring myself
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's child's play. Can
Yeah,
we
right.
swear?
I swear.
Like
that's
90% of what we say
I
generally.
figued.
I'm
No,
just like,
I
we're
know.
talking about like school so much. I'm like, oh no, am I chewing gum?
I'm gonna get sent to wilderness camp. I send
Yeah.
May to wilderness camp.
They do have adult versions. Of
Oh,
it.
thank God.
No way.
Yeah.
That's just like hiking the
I-
Inca Trail.
Yeah, right.
I think they get more of a say though, unless
Yeah.
they're like.
But imagine you have rights. Because okay, that's the whole like elephant in the room is you're under 18. You can't opt into like.
Right.
Right. And you basically are stripped of your civil rights as soon as you get there,
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're basically your guardians, like the people there.
So what would
Yeah.
be like? I guess your biggest complaint from that wilderness section before we move on to the school.
I don't even know because it wasn't that like it was hard, but I honestly I would like to hike again. That's just it was kind
Yeah.
of just like a will like
Okay.
I mean,
I-
the nature aspect I
yeah.
can get behind.
yeah,
for
and it was
sure,
beautiful, and we did.
Yeah. Right.
Sometimes it was like, okay, do we need to be hiking this much to really?
I get the
You
impression.
know.
Were there other people who had stories where you're like, yeah, that was crazy? Or was the wilderness
Yes.
part like, because I could see that part just being generally like, okay, that one is.
There-
You got some fresh air.
There
you
were
like-
some that were like pretty abusive, where it was like, oh sorry, never mind. I thought I kicked you, but I did not. It was a
How
table
dare
leg.
you?
There were some where it was like you would have to go on solos, and like my program, we did solos, but they were much shorter. But a solo is basically when you were like alone, and you like were like alone in the forest, and like you didn't interact with anyone. People like dropped off your food for you.
So like solitary.
What?
Yeah, which we did some of in my
Solitary's-
school as well. We did like solitary stuff in my school.
That's. Isn't that like almost like weren't they talking about making that illegal because it's so impactful on people?
I mean, that would have to be like that has to be crazy dangerous too. You're
Also
We
so
did
that.
a lot of that.
fucking
There was a lot of
woods,
that
like,
in my school too. So
I would be like, is there fucking bears out here? Like,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
the answer is yes.
Did
Yes,
you-
there are.
did you
This
ever
is
have to be solo in the-
Montana?
I think if we did, it was only an hour or two at my
Okay.
program. Other programs, it was like 24, 48 hours.
Okay, so
Dude,
that's
these people. Well, this is another thing that was like super bleak, but I looked up as a resource. I just mentioned Paris Hilton's thing. What's it called again? Breaking Code
I don't
Silence.
know. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I looked up some things on there, and there was like a whole list of people that have died on these wilderness, and it was like very long.
Yeah. I mean, I got
Um,
MRSA and I didn't get
yeah.
treated for 10 days.
Like you,
so that's
right,
probably
you
the biggest
could have.
complaint.
yeah.
medical care.
yeah.
Yeah.
A
But, like, if you're-
serious disease that
If
just
you're
got
leaving
ignored.
a quote unquote troubled teen in the woods, and also weren't they? If they were leaving them alone in the woods, it's like, okay, are you afraid you're gonna run away or not?
Right. I
Is
think
this-
they
is
were
this
close
like a-
by. I think.
Oh, okay.
I again, my program didn't do it quite to that extent. Mine was like
Yeah.
the less abusive than a lot of them. There was actually there used to be a documentary series about one of the programs like a lot of my friends went to called Second Nature, I believe, and it was. I'm so sorry.
No,
Miss
go ahead.
Mimosa.
Burp away.
I think it was called Brat Camp. There used to be
Oh.
a show
Sponsored by Bratz dolls.
and I remember there being like a kid on it. Like I watched the show before I got sent away, and I was like, man, these places are insane.
Yeah.
I remember this kid like was like
Wow.
throwing up, and they were like, you're making yourself because the food was so bad or something, and they were like, you got to
Wow.
clean up your own throw up, or like, I don't know how it worked.
Oh my god.
We did. I do remember. So when you pooped and stuff, you have to like dig a hole before you poop.
like
and
a
I-
cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember if they found poop that wasn't like in the hole, we all had to like huddle around it until like someone admitted to like pooping and not
Oh my god.
like digging a hole. Oh my god, and having a
Wow.
period there,
Yeah.
That's out of control.
it was horrible.
So I watched a documentary a long time ago called Last Train Home, I think it's called, and it's about the Elon School. I was
Okay.
talking about this before we started airing. And there was like something to do with like if you got caught having sex or something, you'd have to wear like bloody tampons around your head in like a crown.
So I
And-
will
yeah, and like walk around like a dog or like something insane.
I can
don't
tell you
remember the exact
I can tell you what
details.
happened to someone who was found having sex. But that's also at my program. I don't know if you want to go into that first or if you want me to just tell that story.
No, tell
Yeah,
the
tell the
story,
story.
and then
So
yeah.
the preview.
Honestly, a lot of kids who had sex would just get kicked out, but this one kid. Okay, so there was this. There's like I have a whole handbook down here that's like all the stuff you need to know about the school. There were these things called bans, which was when you got forbidden to either talk to someone or do a thing. There would be like pleasure reading bans, or like my friend was on smile bans, like she wasn't allowed to smile.
What?
what?
But you get put on bans from people and everyone had bands with someone.
Wow.
But this kid who had sex was put on bans from the entire school and staff included, except for once he was allowed to talk to one staff.
Oh my
He
God.
had to
Did he have
sit.
sex with them?
He's like, hey,
I mean, yeah, I would have.
look pretty good today.
Yeah. This type of like puritanical, like this is bad, this is good too. It's like you're just gonna make this kid get out and be like a fucking
Oh yeah,
like
a lot of
complete
kids.
nympho.
Well, yeah, kids who like went to college directly after this, yeah, they went crazy because it was like you
course.
go from having no freedom
Nothing.
to having all the freedom.
Yeah.
And just the fact that you have a term for it, like you were on bands.
Well,
Yeah.
so that included I couldn't make eye contact, couldn't smile at a person. He had to sit alone at a table in the dining room.
Wow.
He was taken out of classes to do physical labor. We all did physical labor, but like he was taken out of classes to do it. He had to do it 7 days a week
Oh my God, this poor kid.
for like 8 hours, like whatever. You know.
He's just
Wow.
working full time.
Yeah, and again, we paid an
He's an
exorbitant.
accountant.
Yeah.
Again, we paid like an insane amount of money to go to these places, and they get free labor. Not only free,
Yeah.
we paid labor.
What were
Like,
you
know,
doing? What was the labor?
So I did. There was a lot of like digging snow, breaking ice, building benches, taking down trees, clearing the forest.
Was it actually contributing to anything, or just like moving like heavy thing to heavy?
Both,
Like you know.
both.
Okay.
I remember we had to move rocks from one end of campus to the other, and no one told us why.
Right.
And I was just like, I think this is holes. I think. I mean,
yeah.
know.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Is Holes about one of these?
No, it's
okay.
but there were similarities for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, maybe there's treasure and like one of these rocks. There's a rock they're looking for. But we would just like take all these rocks and wheelbarrows from like one end of campus to the other, and no, they wouldn't even tell us like what we were doing. Sometimes it was, this path is slippery, so we need to break the ice.
Yeah.
But then also it's like, I don't know, don't you pay people to do this? Like,
right.
yeah.
Right.
and we would just like do a section of it, so only like half of it would even be cleared. So it's like, what's the point of this? Like,
yeah.
but we would be doing this in groups, like 3 days a week in the mornings. But then kids who got in trouble would do it like a lot more.
Yeah.
And usually either on their own or like with one other person, whereas the rest of us were like in groups and like.
So the physical labor was like the punishment for
No, they would never call it a punishment. But yes, yeah.
opportunity.
Opportunity.
This was therapy.
Wow.
They had
They would
like
never call it a punishment.
oh my god, because
That's
I
hilarious.
tried calling like I would try. To
Yeah,
call
I mean it sounds pretty clear. Like
Yeah, they were like,
listen,
no, this
and
is
we've
a
all
choice.
we've all shoveled snow in our days. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that, but this is a complete like for making eye contact with
know.
someone. That's the weird
No.
part of this.
And
whole
Well,
thing.
you wouldn't get. It wasn't well. You wouldn't get like on those for making eye contact with someone. That was like,
if you were on bands.
I guess if you were found to have been like talking to them and stuff, maybe.
Wow.
But
I like how you're like trying to be like, well, to be fair,
Yeah, yeah.
To be fair, it's only if you were talking to
Laura,
them.
the rules were clear.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
understand
If
when
you
you're
break the
Why are you
rules,
having a
there's
problem with this, Laura?
listen, it wasn't all that bad. They had their reasons.
Jesus Christ.
But a lot of the so this was called like a program and like a work assignment. The work assignments, they got rid of it like the week before I got there, which again I'm kind of like, ugh, like I wish I could have said that they did this while I was here, but they did it before I got
God,
here.
Lindsay.
They had these things called stumps, which was when you got in trouble. Not in trouble, when you made bad decisions.
Oh my
You
God.
know, or whatever.
Yeah.
You'd have to dig out a stump either on your own or like with one other person. There's actually
Yeah, let's get
There's
this
Yeah,
book
let's
out.
get this handbook
There
out.
is a glossary in here that has stumps in it, because they got rid of it like they got rid of it like a week before I got there, so it was still in the handbook.
So what we're looking right now at, if you're just listening, is the Monarch School Education for Life Parent Handbook with a cute little cabin on the front and a very blue sky.
I was also in an advertisement for this
Oh,
school.
good for- okay,
That is a
So
fun
popular.
fact.
so cool, so popular, lost all that weight. She looks
Yeah.
great.
Okay, so this is what stumps were. There's a glossary. Monarch School is nestled on 120 acres of beautiful forested land. During the course of the building on this land, trees have been taken down, but their stumps remain. Students who may be struggling in certain areas and are out of agreement may be assigned the task of digging out a stump. The stump is a metaphor
Oh my God.
representing that which is standing in the student's way of moving forward. One of the beauties of stump work is that one can't dig out a stump without reaching out for assistance near the end of the task. Students make many realizations and connections to their issues through this task.
Damn. That's
Really? So did you?
I never had to do that because they got rid of it like the week before I got there. But
okay.
there was like some sort of like evidence burnt. They burned. There was a wall of stumps that they used to put all the stumps in. They burned it randomly.
What was the? Why did they get rid of it? Do you know?
I think evidence. I think it was evidence of
And
something.
it was just because people were like, "Holy shit, you shouldn't be making kids."
Yeah, so I think parents had complained or something.
You know what's interesting is so like I wanted to know like some of the basics of this industry before the podcast, and I tried to look up like prosecutions associated with this. I found nothing that came up immediately. I'm like, have people been like held accountable? Like
There have been lawsuits.
There has been lawsuits. Okay,
Yeah.
so like what like so like no like headmasters or whatever you call them have been like taken to.
So like the people that owned my school were like taken to court, and I think they
wow.
did lose the settlement, but it was because of the money issues. It wasn't
Yeah.
because of like the treatment of the kids. The issue was that these places are incredibly expensive, and they shut their doors. They gave everyone like 2 days notice.
Yeah.
And there's no regulations.
Yeah,
like, around this
right.
kind of thing.
That's why they're all in the West, because there are a lot fewer like child labor law, like
Yeah.
all these things.
Like
It's,
in Montana and
Right.
Yeah.
That's why.
And
they're
then
all
on the
over
other side, like your parents
Utah, I
are
guess.
in control of you. So if they're signing it off, they can easily sign some waivers, and you can sign waivers for fucking anything.
Right,
You know
right.
what I
Yeah.
mean, you can do some crazy shit.
I mean,
if
yeah,
you
there
sign
are
a waiver.
waivers that are basically like you relinquish all power to us. I mean, it's basically like we're the guardians now.
Right. We are the
Wow.
guardian.
I was saying.
That is wild. Okay, so you had stumps. They got rid of stumps,
Yeah.
which, oh, God, I can't believe you missed stumps, Lindsay.
I was
You
like-
would have crushed stumps.
Oh my
you would have
God.
I know. You would have
an
learned so
animal.
many things.
Yeah.
Think about the person you'd be
You
if
have-
you
Okay.
took out a stump.
This is a fun
Also,
one.
I will say the way they wrote that, pretty great copy. Like midway through,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not a bad point.
You're like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
Laura.
this is pretty good therapy.
Actually, at the end, you do need to reach out for help, and that's a good lesson.
So this was okay. So out of agreement list. So instead of rules, we had agreements. There were like the 3 main agreements, which was drugs, sex, and violence. And under that were things like you can't sing a song that's like not approved. What like stuff like
Oh,
that.
wow.
That'd be like
WAP
yeah.
wouldn't have been okay.
But every so often it was basically confession. You would like make a list of everything you had done that was like out of agreement. And I was like, I had really bad OCD before this, during this, and I was like a rule follower.
Yeah.
So I took this so literally. I would put every single thing I had ever done, including things I had seen other people do. And then I would get in trouble also for
Narc.
not saying. No, dude, no. I have
Wow.
I have a story about narking. Everyone was a narc because it was like you're brainwashed to become
Yeah.
a narc. You
Right.
get like, it's a step program. So it's like step 0 through 4 or 5.
Okay.
And it's like the more you narc, the higher you get in the program.
Whoa.
Wait. Whoa. Okay, we're gonna need to back up and give a lot.
Sorry,
more
I know,
con-
this
no,
is
no,
a
no,
lot. It's
no.
a-
It's so interesting.
I
But
know. I'm fascinated right now.
okay. What's the right thing to like go into right now? Should we talk about the narking or like? Okay, so you get there, you're brought in. There's not stumping anymore. You're pissed.
Okay. So
And
from yeah. So the no stopping anymore. So I think like the step program from. Again, I am an expert on this because I watched 2 documentaries. Name them
More
2.
than I've watched.
But like basically like you have to level up and like you have to kind of like get brought up by the people at that level and like it's like a pyramid scheme sort of
And then
thing.
if you level all the way out, do you go home?
Yes. So like once you're on a certain step, you have like the opportunity to like graduate. It's graduating a program, not the school. I did happen to graduate the program in high school at the same time.
Fucking nice.
yeah.
You got it,
Killed it.
girl. Hell yeah.
Yeah, not to brag.
And did they have certain names for each level that wasn't just like 1, 2,
No,
3,
it's just
4, 5?
0.
Oh,
well,
okay,
step
okay.
orientation it wasn't
Okay.
0. It was orientation.
Because I think again, expert on this, more than you. No, some of them have like really derogatory names.
Oh,
Like,
I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think we did.
Okay.
But there were like, so you got like different privileges at each level.
Like talking.
Yeah, making eye
Honestly-
contact.
Contact is level 3.
But honestly, yes. Like,
oh no.
like, okay, so a lot of people's bans, like if they were banned from talking to certain people, it was like step 2 and below. They couldn't make eye contact, talk with anyone below step
Okay.
2.
Wait. So if someone else was below step 2, you couldn't look at them.
Right. Make eye contact. Maybe
Yes.
you could look, but you both couldn't look at the same time.
Wow.
That's insane, dude.
But then you would, so when you first got there, basically, I think it was like step 3 and above were like older students, nothing to do with age, just like where they were in the program. You could be, I don't know, you were an older student, which meant you could like monitor conversations.
Wow.
You have been brainwashed enough.
So they're like, oh wow, it's like
recruiting these kids to do their work.
Yeah.
So that's how it works. You get more privileges because it's like, oh, you're brainwashed enough now. Like you get to monitor these other, because they were afraid younger students would talk about running away together or talk negatively about the school. So like they would have, if you wanted to talk to a younger student, you have to go find an older student.
Wow.
Because if people saw you talking, you'd be like, older student, you know.
Wow.
A lot of narking. That was like
Common.
It's amazing. I mean, I know it's children, so it's like pretty easy to manipulate kids. It's unfortunately. But it's amazing how quickly they were able to like get people into this kind of a program. Like, over the
Literally-
course of like how many?
Okay.
What's the period of time we're looking at here?
well, so we would call it like, you got to take your walls down. Like,
Oh my god.
you know, it's like she'll give in to the program eventually.
Yeah.
Okay, when you're using the terms "given,"
There-
like
yeah.
that's a red
There
flag.
is a
a
thing
red
in the
flag.
there's a thing in the parent handbook. Be prepared that the first few letters might be full of manipulation and pleas to come home. They may tell you the other kids have worse problems, that they've changed,
Wow.
or the school brainwashes the students
Wow.
and that they don't belong here. Know that this reaction is completely normal. Stay strong and firm. Do not let your child feel you waver.
Wow.
That's insane. That's really fucked
Literally,
up.
they're
Really
like,
insane.
they might say they're being brainwashed. Don't worry, they're not.
Yeah.
Also, the first sentence: "This decision will probably be one of the most difficult decisions you ever make."
I mean,
In-
yeah.
Yeah,
no,
that's
no. But I'm like, the fact that that's the opening line for a school
Oh,
you're
yeah,
sending your
yeah.
kid to is so fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, the kid who you want to ideally surround with love and joy and growth. And this is insane.
Well, you would get kids who would get not punished. They would try to
You
kill
could,
them.
you could say punish now. It's allowed. They're not coming anymore.
Some of them follow me on Instagram.
Oh,
but
no way.
but
Wait, the teachers?
yeah, but like we're fine. I don't know.
No,
Okay,
you don't have
okay.
to be fine.
Well,
It's-
some of them have like realized their wrongdoings and
Yeah.
have made their amends.
So, friends of the
good.
pod.
Yeah.
Wait, what was I had something. I don't remember what I was just saying. I don't even know.
You were talking about how they were going to send you letters about being brainwashed and that was completely normal.
I mean, I also think like the idea that this is such an expensive school,
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh.
that, I feel like parents would be like, well, obviously they know what they're doing. We're spending this amount of money. Like, you know what I mean? There is like that sort of validation there where it's like,
yeah,
they-
you think that
where
it's
must
normally
be.
if you got this, like, and it was like a program by the government and it said that, I would be like, I don't trust this at all.
so before the episode, Lindsay shared this with May, but I
Yeah.
have not yet seen how much
I
the
don't.
school costs.
This is
I
like
just
an
know that it's-
enrollment contract, so make sure you pay attention to how long these are for too.
Okay, so this is the enrollment contract for what is the period of time for
So
this?
this was August 25th, 2010. So I guess that's when I.
2010.
This is
so
1 month. 1 month.
This is 1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
$15,000. Holy shit! And it's $5,500 for the ongoing months.
There is a security deposit, so some of that I'm assuming you get back. I
So
don't know.
15 out the gate.
That's how it works in apartments.
Oh my god!
And again, they have like one guy working the whole campus because the rest is done by students. We
That's-
like literally.
Wow.
This is no wonder they're making fucking bank.
Yeah.
And they just
And then
have
they
a
were
farm
laundering
in
money.
Montana. They have
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah, we
I'm
had
sure that-
animals.
That land probably cost them like
$2.
$2. Like, but we're literally probably like $250,000 maybe
Yeah.
for that amount of
Yeah.
land in
Yeah.
Montana.
And their
Whole-
overhead costs are really low because the students
Do
help.
everything.
Yeah.
I'm smelling a business opportunity right now.
A lot of these are getting shut down. That means there's a market for
There's
more.
a market. Here we go. And that's
How
your
many kids
mom's-
were at your
that's mom's
school?
signature. Holy shit.
I'd say the average was like 50 at a time.
Okay.
Damn.
We
So they're pulling in, what is that?
a lot.
$800,000
Per month.
per month?
Well, there's a
If-
security deposit. I don't know.
Oh
how.
my God.
What is? Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so
Oh,
so-
but then everything extra was extra money. So it was like therapy was extra. It's like, isn't this for therapy? Like,
Oh my God. That's outrageous.
wow. This
What were
is-
your accommodations like? Like, tell us about like did you like bunk with like, what was it? What did that look like?
right. So they were dorms, but they were more like cabins.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, there wasn't an adult like with us, which honestly, kind of looking back, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
So there would be like 2 cabins in one 2 rooms in one like dorm. They were attached by like a bathroom. You'd have a dorm leader who was, you know, on step 3 or above, who was basically in charge of the dorm, we had like really strict.
And brainwashed to narc.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had extremely strict like rules about how clean, hospital corner on your beds. You would get like, you had to like come back to the dorm during lunch if it wasn't clean enough.
So it's like the military.
Yeah, it was very military. It was like a military mixed with a cult.
Yeah.
Or military school and a cult together.
So they had these 21-year-olds primarily taking care.
That was at
quote
the
unquote,
wilderness
of you.
program.
Okay,
No,
so
this is now other. I want to call you inmates. Well, other students watching the other.
so
students.
they're clearly not getting paid because they're paying
Right,
fucking
they're
15
paying.
grand or
Right,
whatever.
right.
So how many people were in charge of these? 50-ish people in the school
Right.
at one time.
So we had like teachers, peer group leaders, and
How many people were like going home? Like to like how many
yeah,
how many like fucking adults were there who need to go to jail potentially?
10 to 15 maybe.
Okay.
We also had like, I'm sorry, this mimosa is making me
great.
burp. They had like,
see that, mom and dad?
So
Pretty
we had
fun.
even though we like were in the dorms alone, we had like nighttime security. They would come by and make sure all the kids were in their beds.
there. Yeah.
So we had like little things like that. We had like only one person who was basically in charge of like fixing up the school. The rest was like the kids did it.
Was there like a principal or like
The owner.
Was the owner around? And what was their vibe?
Yes, he would come by. So he actually went to one of these programs, which I'm like, why did you? That's so weird.
Yeah. Why would you? It's like a vampire. He's like continuing the abuse.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
He was like, "Did you see how much money? 15 grand."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm gonna run
Yeah.
with it.
So very cult leader vibes. He had a picture of himself in the lodge. Like
Hell yeah.
he was when he was a
Wow.
kid. He was really hot. Not gonna lie. We were
Okay.
all the girls were
Like, I'll allow it.
we were like, can we meet the younger you?
Yeah.
He would just kind of come around and pretend to be friends with everyone, but then also be like, you know, you shouldn't be doing this and that.
Right.
He was the one. So I was part of like the filming of an ad. They of course didn't call it an ad.
Oh my God.
I have a pilot about this, so this is part of this is in my pilot. That they
Shout
did
out.
like
Yeah.
if you
Watch it.
if you are a
Produce it.
TV producer, it's good.
Yeah.
maybe. They had like this film crew come in, and it was supposed to be like an inside look at the school for prospective parents. So of course it wasn't like. There were things we did where it was like, oh, we're not actually allowed to do this, but we're doing this in the video.
Like talk to each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like
Like, did you just make eye contact with me?
Like,
Whoa.
I remember being told to like walk into our dorms with our shoes on, and we were like, we're not allowed to do that. And they were like,
Oh.
and they were like, it's fine. It's for the video.
Wow.
It's like propaganda films.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just North Korea. What's
Yeah.
going
I know.
on?
Literally.
And at the time, I was so brainwashed that I was like, this is great. I feel so guilty about this. This kid that I had known for a long time before the program, his parents came to visit.
Oh no.
And I was like, I love it here. Because I did. At the time, I really thought I loved it here. I didn't at first. But your walls come down.
Yeah.
And
there's a reason cults work.
Yeah.
Not to put
Right.
that.
No, it's a cult.
Yeah, it sounds like
It
a
is.
fucking cult. And they just use the classic techniques to.
You have cut off communication from everyone. Like, you're not allowed. You don't talk to anyone except for the people there.
So,
Right.
so you told the parents that you were like,
I was like, this is great. You should send him here. And then he came.
Oh no.
And, like, we're still friends. We're good. It's not like he was like, he was getting sent somewhere anyways.
He probably understands too.
Yeah.
In
Like, now
retrospect,
looking
yeah.
back, he's like,
I mean,
get
he
it.
was getting sent somewhere. I was like, why
Right.
not?
of the people who are guilty in this scenario, it's not you.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's definitely
Thank
not
you.
you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. His parents.
Yeah. No, we still keep in touch though, and we're good.
Oh my god.
He's also diabetic now, so fun.
Oh,
fun
Oh
fact.
wow. You
But not
gave him your
MRSA.
diabetes. That you should feel guilty.
I
about.
do.
Oh my
Something
god.
that stands out to me on this page, it says our mission, and it's like Monarch School exists to provide young adults with a foundation of knowledge and self-awareness to achieve their dreams. And I'm like, young adults? No. These are children.
No.
Young adults would mean that like 21 years old.
And that
Yeah,
we were
your
allowed to
counselors.
leave.
yeah,
We're like,
exactly.
this is a program for our counselors, actually.
Right.
Yeah, we would sign. Okay, actually, let me find it. So before we like had visits with our parents, you would get like progressively more freedom on. So first, like
Yeah.
parents would come to the campus and you couldn't leave the campus.
Did they change things at the campus when the parents were there? Like, do they hide certain things?
Not really, which is kind
Okay.
of like, that's why I say it's not like we weren't, it's not like the parents didn't know about things. It was more that it was like, no, this is therapy.
Okay.
Okay, so one of the things we had agreed to, let me see. I can try to find it, but we weren't allowed to talk about going home. We weren't allowed to have no discussion of returning home.
Oh.
So you had agreed to that. So as you can
Okay.
say, I say yes here. So yeah, it was an agreement that you couldn't talk about going home with your parents
Yeah.
because they were afraid to, please, like, let me out. It's brainwashing me.
Yeah.
And it was such a like environment of like brainwash and like
Weird.
honesty that it was like you followed these pretty much.
Yeah. Right.
Not drink any caffeinated beverages or eat any packaged junk food.
Yeah.
Mormons.
Yeah.
They
Right.
hate their
Oh
caffeine.
wait, I
Hate
didn't even put that
caffeine.
together.
Yeah, I mean,
Was there coffee there?
actually, when you got to step 4 or 5, you were allowed to have coffee. Which
Wow.
I
Well,
don't-
okay, that's
yeah.
not so bad then.
yeah, I mean, it was kind of worth it. We got to have coffee.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, you weren't allowed to if you were like off campus. So like your second visit, it was like you could go to a hotel with your parents, but you weren't allowed to talk to any other students that were also on their visits.
What are these activities? These are goal activities? What am I looking at right here?
Ah,
I'm sorry.
So
If you don't
embarrassed.
you don't have to bring it up if you don't want, but they're pretty fucking funny.
Oh my god! Mine's cuddle with my sister. Why is that?
What does this mean? What are these your goals? What are these?
these are ones you wrote.
These are activities. Yeah, so like you do this with like your peer group leader.
Get
this
a
must have
haircut.
been-
You desperately needed a haircut.
so you had to get
apparently.
all haircuts like approved by.
Go to Walgreens
You
to
had to-
develop pictures. That's a goal activity.
Listen to
Lindsay.
music.
Like that's an errand.
Listen to music was one of your. Oh wow.
Holy shit, dude! What? Who's Amy?
My sister.
Oh, okay. Oh my god.
Wow.
Wow, goals for this visit. So was Amy coming over or
I
something?
guess I didn't remember her. I think she thought it was so weird, but she's like,
No shit.
She
was
probably
like,
was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay. So cool list of activities. I'm glad you got to do
Did you get to snuggle with your sister?
I feel like she wouldn't be into that.
Yeah.
So I feel like I probably promised. I was like, hey, so actually we have to cuddle because it's in my.
It's in
on
my
the
action
list.
plan.
I
She's like,
saw
I
it.
don't know what you're talking about, literally.
Read to my mom. What? Read what? Was I gonna read books?
My favorite is look at Monarch pictures with Amy.
Monarch is the name of the school.
Yeah, but either way, you're looking. I just want to take a look at these pictures with her.
Yeah.
Of the grounds,
That is absurd.
of the recent renovations that we've done here.
Oh my god. Yeah, we weren't like not use a Walkman, iPod, or any type of gaming. Oh, see notes though. You could negotiate. So because I was like particularly a rule follower, they were more lenient with me because of that. Which,
Interesting.
Wow, you really got to branch out.
Were there any kids that like you felt like benefited off, like truly like should have been there? And it's like a weird question, but like,
there are kids that still maintain that it helped them. Like
okay.
they're like, I don't care what everyone says. This helped me become who I am or whatever.
I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, I guess
Right,
it would.
right.
Like,
I guess some people come out of privatized prisons,
Yeah.
and are like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the
turned it
person I am
around.
without that. It's like, yeah, well, that's objectively true.
Right,
but like,
right,
what's
right.
You're not wrong in that
Right.
sense.
I mean,
maybe we could have
everyone-
gotten there without the cult component.
exactly,
but-
exactly.
I'd say half the people there needed to go somewhere. Like I admit that I needed to go somewhere.
So I guess the biggest
Interesting.
there's a lot of problems with this, clearly. One of the things I think that sticks out the most to me is the fact that the people advising you to go there made money on the back end
Right,
off of
right.
it. So there wasn't, maybe there are a few situations, certainly elements of this are incorrect, clearly incorrect. But going into the wilderness for a few weeks as a kid, like I did Girl Scout camp and that kind of shit, I think that is good for you.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a very different, like very much, we were excited to go to that, right?
Right.
But if you're financially benefiting off of this continuation of this kind of a situation and you're encouraging these kids not to report back that they're being literally abused,
Right.
where's Obama? Where's Biden?
Yeah,
Call
I
him. Get in on this.
Yeah,
This
I mean,
feels
it's-
like
it's
needs
not-
review.
It's not an objective opinion. Like no one's going to be like, this is my objective opinion because they're getting paid.
Right. Right.
I mean, Paris Hilton is doing like a huge, I don't know if overhauls. She's like really making an effort to like get a lot of these places closed.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? So obviously it's great that she's doing this, but it's kind of a little fucked up that it took Paris Hilton having a say for us to listen. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
kids are dying.
Yeah. I mean, but it makes sense though. She has a platform, and
Obviously,
it's like,
thank God, but like I don't know. You guys deserve more.
Yeah.
For being sad, but
I mean, before this, it felt like most of the complaints were within the group, where it was like
Yeah.
we would just talk to each other about it. No one I ever talked to had heard of. Like now, people
Right.
have heard of these things.
Right. Right.
When I first got out, they were like, "What? You went where?"
right.
Because I feel like any sort of online discussion about it was just to other people who had gone to these places.
Because no one else would understand.
No, yeah, it was hard to talk to people after this because it's like, well, first of all, I was like just used to just giving my whole life story as soon as I met someone.
Right.
And
Right.
I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, because like here it was normal. Because like when you first got there, you had to do these things called disclosures to everyone, which is your deepest, darkest secrets, basically.
Wow.
And you had to do that also to your parents for the first visit. You had to tell them like every time you'd had sex or like what sexual things you had done or whatever.
oh God.
No, I don't want to.
No.
Yeah.
If my kids started telling me that, I'd be like, shut your mouth.
Yeah, I would be like,
That's
no.
your business.
Yeah.
My mom, I think, was of that mind, you know, where she
Yeah.
was like, okay, you masturbated.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God,
Ew.
no.
I'm like, ew, Lindsay.
That was literally
Lindsay, ew, get back in the camp.
Yeah. Lindsay, I'm going to send you somewhere again.
literally the people's disclosures were like, you know, I sexually assaulted someone, and then I was like, I masturbated.
What?
Wow.
Okay, so you're in the school, you're learning MIT classes with your teachers. I'm like assuming the education itself was pretty not the focus.
No,
Yeah,
no.
so like when this is like such a secondary thing, but when you like applied to colleges,
Oh, I had a lot of trouble.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you had to say like you went to the Monarch school.
Well, it's hard because I switched schools, which
Okay.
is a bad sign, I think, for a lot of
Right.
colleges. I didn't get into a lot of my safety schools. I, you know, had incredibly good grades, incredibly
Yep.
good like ACT score. And I was like getting rejected from a lot of my safety schools. And literally our college counselor used to ask me for advice. She would be like, because like I remember she told us not to waive our rights to something. And then after I applied to colleges, I was talking to my mom. She's like, no, colleges won't look at your application if you don't waive your rights to whatever. I don't
Yeah.
remember. It was like to
Have your grades shared or something like
it was
that.
something. And so we all had to like undo it and like contact the colleges. And
Wow.
and then it doesn't look, I think my issue was I didn't address why I changed schools.
Right.
And I think some programs are just like, why? Okay,
Yeah.
I've never heard of this school.
Right.
Why did you switch after sophomore year? All that. And I think also a lot of people, if they did know what it was like, oh, she's got emotional problems. We don't
Right.
want to deal with that.
Right. We don't want her
Um,
being like roommates with someone and like
Yeah. So I miraculously got waitlisted and then into one of like a good school after getting rejected from like all my safeties.
Wow, thank God.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was a mess.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so this certainly didn't set you up for success.
No.
The foundations of knowledge and self-awareness necessary to achieve their dreams as healthy human beings. Fuck you, Monarch School. Okay, so how soon, so you go through, you graduate. What was that? How long did you end up being in there in total?
Okay, so I think it was like 50. Okay, I got there apparently August 25th or something.
Sure.
And then I graduated in December of the next year.
So
So it was like 15 months.
yeah, something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Everyone's there for a different amount of time. The kid was there for over 2 years.
Wow.
I remember being really competitive though with a girl who got here after me, had gotten there after me and then graduated before me. And I was like, I'm not as, whatever as her.
You're narking more. You're like,
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, eventually my issue was that I was narking too much, basically.
Wow.
And kids were like, Lindsay, you're not narking. They didn't say that, but like you're holding people accountable.
Oh, God.
So it'd be like, you're not doing it for the right reasons. A lot of that. And like,
what does that mean?
I don't know. And my like,
what were the right reasons?
it was like to help them, not to help yourself.
not to like try to get to the next level, probably.
Yeah. And I remember
And
actually,
you're like, I don't fucking care. I want to get out of here. Like,
my individual therapist, I remember actually at one point told me, my like assignment was like to basically not hold people accountable because I was like doing it too much. But then I got in trouble from a different staff member for not holding people accountable. But then I was like, my therapist literally told me not to.
He said, she said.
So I had to do like a work assignment, which is like what the stumps were.
Yeah.
But like mine, because I was such a good student, mine were always so like mild. Like I like deep cleaned, you know, a closet.
What's it like being the model student for troubled teen
Yeah.
schools?
It's really hard, actually. Well, because I'm still
fucking pamphlet cover.
I'm still friends with a lot of these kids, and they kind of hated me because
Honestly, I kind of get
yeah,
it. I'm sure you're. I mean, obviously you're fantastic, but like
that
would get old.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the protagonist, almost antagonist of my pilot is based on me, and I kind of hate her. I'm like, oh my god, why are you narking so much? One of my best friends from there, who like we still talk a lot, and I'm gonna go visit her like when I'm back in Chicago. We like will send each other like pictures of our journals from back then, and we're like, Elizabeth is being a B word, like we, you know, and she'll be like, Lindsay's a demon, you know, like because we were like frenemies.
Yeah.
But I think my issue is she was like really hot, and like all the guys liked her, and I'd be like, she's flirting. You're not allowed to flirt.
Oh my god.
And I remember my journal would be like, you know, she is flirting with Chris, and that is not okay.
Yeah, because you're going through like puberty and shit at the same time.
Right.
You still are like being normal kids.
Yeah.
What was the food like?
Really good, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
We had
I
like
wasn't
a 5-star
expecting
chef.
Twist.
Are you kidding?
No, he was like on Chopped or not Chopped. He was. I don't think that was around then. He was on
Top Chef.
Maybe.
That's
maybe.
hilarious.
For what reason?
Yeah.
What we gotta get that guy on the pod.
I guess that's why it costs so fucking much. They
Yeah,
have a
that's
top
the-
chef come in and do like gastronomical like immersions
what do
or
you
whatever.
think?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you like if you got like on a program, you would like not be allowed to have dessert and stuff, but like food was good.
That's
Wild.
hilarious.
That is a plot
Yeah.
twist.
Okay.
Yeah, like great chef.
I'm like, wow, big sob story. You go out to some fucking place, get 5-star meals every day, get to touch grass.
Yeah. Narc on your friends.
we did have to help like make the food and like and clean
okay,
up,
okay.
but I'd say he did the majority.
So you also went to
Culinary
school,
school.
Yeah,
and
uh-huh.
MIT.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Wow.
this is
we
great
we had a
education.
farm. I did farm work, you know.
that.
Oh, this is just a fun. So we did a lot of like the outdoor, like the forced labor,
Yeah.
labor trafficking.
Right.
Oh my god.
And I sent this letter to my dad that like must have been at a point when they didn't have to read my letters, because like when you got to step 4 or something, you could just send out your letters without them reading them. But I was reading it and it says like, today was Buster Rump Day, which is a day where like during our school break where we just work outside all day, it's 0 degrees out, but I was working so hard that I took off my jacket and I was just in a t-shirt. How cool. Like, you know, like I was like, isn't that a red flag?
Yes.
It's a huge red flag.
Yes, it is. First
And
of
like,
all,
why is my daughter
shirt-
in an internment camp?
My
Why
it
paying?
would be so cold that like my insulin pump and meter wouldn't work. So
Oh,
I had
that's
to put it. They made me a pouch that I would put it in my shirt to keep it
Wow.
warm because it was so
Wow.
cold out.
Holy hell.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, and they had like you had to buy certain brands of clothing, which I'm like, oh, they must have had some sort of an
Yeah,
agreement where it's
probably.
like,
Cool partnerships.
yeah.
They're like, it was LuLaRoe. It's crazy. Kind of crazy.
I will say, high quality stuff. I still have some of them.
It's just
Rain jacket, great rain jacket.
I
That's
bet honestly
funny.
probably was a pretty good rain
Yeah,
jacket.
it was really
that would
good.
be hilarious to shoot a special in all of your wilderness camp like clothes.
Yes.
Yeah, they still hold
I
up.
will say we had a lot of Carhartt. We know Carhartts.
We do know
and
Carhartt.
it
Very
does
popular. Very okay, Brooklyn.
It does
Yeah,
trigger me
right.
a little bit to see Carhartts going around because we had to
Yeah.
wear it like for working. And I nanny, and like one of the kids I nanny like has Carhartt jeans, and I'm like,
out there stumping.
Yeah.
So you graduate from that. Congrats.
thank you.
First of all, congratulations. How did you, and then you had trouble getting into school. Did you have a sit down with your parents at some point and be like, folks,
Yeah, what
was going on there?
It took me a while. Sorry,
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, did you have to like de-brainwash yourself?
Right. It
Like,
it took a while. Yeah.
Okay.
How
I will say it wasn't totally until the school got shut down, like years later, that I fully was like, what was that place?
Yeah.
Because like I think it getting shut down was like really emotional for me.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I just remember like I'm kind of getting emotional right now thinking about it. Like I just remember crying in my room because it was like I don't know. It was like this thing in my life, and at that time everyone started like getting in contact with people. We all talked. We hadn't talked in years, and then I sort of was like oh my God, like what was this? This is a cult, you know, an abusive cult, and so that's when I started talking about it on stage. Yeah. Which was like when I sort of realized how messed up it was. Like before that, I was like, it's a cool story to tell. It's like different.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but
you studied abroad. Well,
yeah.
And I feel like no human likes to realize they've been lied to. Yeah. Which is why you so rarely see people changing their minds on things, because they read one source of, news or whatever it is, and then they realize they've been lied to, months later, and they're like, no, I know the truth. And you're like, it's a bad feeling. So like to be lied to on that like molecular of a
and you have your
plane,
relationship.
You're like, holy shit. Yeah.
And I think also a big part of it is like hearing about places that were worse, and it's like, this wasn't abusive because like we didn't have to lay on the ground and like stuff like that,
which is not true at all, obviously, as you know, but like, but I can understand like the survivor's guilt there, hearing other people's stories. Right. And,
well, I mean, if you can share, were there any other like specific stories that stick out to you
from my specific school or from other schools?
Or from other schools, like, I mean, we don't want to like be, being specific about human being, like
no, I mean, I've seen stuff online about people literally being like in cages, like stuff like that. That was never something we did. Mine wasn't that bad, guys.
I want to go. Frankly, this has been a beautiful pitch.
Let's open the Monarch School back up.
Yeah.
We did have these things called insights. Okay. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, you might have, if you've researched this, you might have found it, like a lot of these schools, they're like founded. They're basically like based off of a cult from the 60s called Synanon.
Oh, I know Synanon.
Yeah.
I listened to a whole podcast on Synanon. Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah.
So basically Synanon was like this drug rehab cult that became very violent. It was like shut down because of murder. Whatever.
Oh, literally. Yeah, literally.
And then an ex-member.
What are you laughing at me for?
Because wait, you're saying Synanon was the inspiration for these, and they were like, and then your description of it is like drug cult got shut down for murder.
There's a really good podcast on Synanon, by the way. I forget what it's called. Just look up Synanon podcast. Fantastic.
Some entrepreneur heard this and was like, that sounds like a good thing for teenagers.
It was an ex-member. An ex-member founded these schools.
Holy shit.
What?
Well, founded this like brand of schools, and then someone who went to that brand of schools found him. It was like a number. It was levels down.
Yeah. It's kind of like any like religious sect. You have like the Hasidic, and then the Orthodox, and then like the Reformed.
The Synanons.
Yeah.
Well, so we had these things called insights, which are based off of, I think they were called prophets, I think, from Synanon, which we had these, it was like these like either day or days long, like intense workshops. I think I blocked a lot of it out.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But these are things I didn't experience. Maybe they got rid of it by the time I was there, which I'm like, I can't even complain because they didn't do this to me. But
stop complaining, Lindsay.
This would have been so great for comedy if I had experienced that. I just have to be like, guys, some other people, this is what happened to them.
Yeah.
Also, you can lie. Just say it happened to you.
That's true.
Truly.
There were like these insights where part of it was like picking the group you also weren't allowed to talk about what happened in it to other kids who hadn't experienced it. It was like a big secret. Part of it, a lot of these, one of the things was like, okay, you guys are like on a ship and you have to pick one of you to die. Like, who's it gonna be? And you all had to like, they all had to like agree on one kid to kill. Apparently got very emotional because it's like,
obviously, yeah.
Why the fuck are you guys killing me?
I don't think I did that. Maybe I didn't. Don't remember it. I remember doing like yelling at pillows, punching pillows, like physical weird stuff.
I will say it's not a great sign that you blocked these memories.
No,
it's never like.
It's possible that it didn't happen to me,
Lindsay.
God. But also, it's like the people leading these were just like guys they found on. Like, it wasn't anyone with like a degree in therapy. Like, no one. It's like, as someone who's, taught math before, I know how to fix depression, and it's by pushing on my body,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
My gosh.
Weren't there like, I don't know about your particular school, but like some ones where like everybody would just like similar to what you were talking about, like everyone's like talking to one person, but they would all scream at them for like 30 seconds, or I don't know how long.
If you screamed, you had to actually scream at the ground. You weren't allowed to scream it. So this was like group therapy. You had group therapy like 3 times a day, or 3 times a week.
Okay.
Sometimes it lasted hours though. Like it depended on the intensity of it. If you wanted to address a person, you had to like get up. It was everyone was like in a circle in chairs. Get up, and you had to move across from them and sit down to address that person. Also, if you had a crush on someone, you could only talk about it in group therapy. So it was called a coming out group.
Oh my god!
Which also like you
just
weren't
in
really
front of them. You had to be like, I have a crush on Laura.
I know you had to tell it to them.
Wow.
You had to say, I have a crush on you. I did that several times. Never was mutual.
They're probably just afraid. They're probably like, I'm not going to get involved with the narc.
Which
She's gonna tell on
sleep
me.
together? Yeah.
And a lot of times people who came out, it was funny that it was like a coming out group because it's like, oh, this isn't. It was kind of like anti-LGBTQ.
I was gonna say, I was like, I don't.
But
I'm gonna go ahead and guess.
Yeah,
they weren't super into.
No. You basically weren't supposed to talk about it if you were like not straight.
Yeah.
But I remember most people when they like came out with attractions for each other would get put on bans. But me, because I was the opposite, they were like, you actually have to keep talking to your crush.
Oh
Like they like wouldn't put me on bans from him. They were like, you guys actually have to have lunch every day or like once a week still, because we would have like this thing called.
I wish you're that guy must have been like, this is wild.
yeah.
He was like, I really respect you as a friend, but I do not feel that way. And it's like, what if you did feel that way? You're not
even
can't do
allowed
anything.
to. Yeah, exactly.
You weren't even allowed to like talk about crushes like outside of group, anyways. But no, we had like we have actually some kids who went there who later came out as trans, who they were very like gender roles, like girl.
Oh, really?
Well, not gender. I guess more like clothing and the way you like dressed. Like girls had to wear skirts a lot, and like we would have girls who they later came out of as trans, but it's like they didn't dress feminine enough. So they would get put on what's called like a dress up program, which is when you had to like wear skirts all the time, and everyone had to have their hair up in like a really tight ponytail, no hair coming down. But when you were on a dress up program, you had to have your hair down.
Yeah,
which was honestly like
so sensual.
Honestly, it's honestly like I would have nightmares that my hair would come down in front of people when I was there, because it's like having it was like showing your boobs to me. No naked dreams. It was all like, oh my god, my hair's down and boys can see.
Wow, what
That's
a rebel you
wild.
are now.
I know.
I can't
Hair
believe you
just
do.
wild and down.
I can't believe you do stand up now.
I know. I did stand up before this, actually, before I got sent away.
Oh wow.
You are an enigma.
Yeah, right.
How the hell?
I did stand up here once. We did
Oh
like
my god, what was that? Like, you just can't talk about anything. You're like, and the school is great, and I love my teachers. I'm learning a lot.
You're getting heckled with eye contact.
I
You're like,
know.
oh, how dare you?
I think I made jokes about like how I didn't have friends at my old school. I was like, you ever text yourself and then you don't respond?
That's good. You should bring that back.
It's not bad. Yeah, put that back out there. It's a good bit. That's got legs.
That's got legs. Wow.
Dude.
So what it was like, I guess I'm like now in my mind moving out of the school. So you went to college and like you had roommates. Like, did you discuss this with them, or you were just like?
There was another kid on my floor who went to one of these schools.
Oh, okay,
which
that's
is
really
wild.
helpful, actually.
He did not last long at the college.
Oh.
I don't remember. I like don't know the specifics. He was not even there for a semester, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a hard transition going from.
Yes, it is.
And that's what's crazy about this, is that you're putting people in there who are already vulnerable. Like you guys are in a, you're
right.
emotionally distressed at the minimum. And then you're going through this program that sounds like it's going to exacerbate most issues.
Right.
It doesn't sound like you got less anxious through it. Your nightmares are hair down.
Not anymore. But
they were
yeah,
during
they
that
were,
period. So that's not an improvement.
My issues were exacerbated there because it was like I was a tattletale before I got sent there, like to the point where my parents were like, why did you tell a teacher that these kids cheated?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
It fucked up your life.
Right.
And this place was just like, yeah, we actually love that about you. Like, keep going.
So
yeah.
So that got way worse. Then you go to school afterwards, and these kids are struggling to like assimilate to normal life again, and then they're being abused through this entire thing. So like, why are these schools still allowed to exist?
I think it has to do with where they're located. Laws are a lot looser. That's why they're all pretty much like that.
Like Utah,
Yeah, Montana.
Wyoming, I think.
I think it has to
Are they
do
just in the United States?
No. You would get threatened. Not threatened. We had there was one in Samoa that no one wanted to get sent to, and it was like some people would get sent if they
I'm
were
an
like.
idiot. Where's Samoa? I'm
I don't
sorry.
even know.
like I think it's God, I don't know. I think it's like out by like the Philippines. It's like it's like an island out.
Oh, okay.
That was like the school. We had kids like get sent there. One kid, I think he was about to graduate, and he like punched a wall, got sent to Samoa. Literally like days
Whoa.
before he was going to
Holy
graduate.
shit.
So what do they do in Samoa that's so bad?
Oh, I don't
There's
know.
no-
It's just
How
way
insane.
more abusive. I don't know
wow.
the specifics, but I
Yeah.
remember that was kind of like.
Samoan culture is pretty intense, so maybe just in general, like they're.
I just remember everyone was like it was like, he got sent away to Samoa. You don't want to like, if you do this, you're gonna get sent back to. You would get sent back to like harder wilderness programs sometimes if you got in like too much trouble. Like if you ran away, some people would get sent back to a wilderness program. But it was always like a more intense
You'd
one
level up.
Yeah.
than you had been in before.
Yeah. Are there support groups like obviously online you've been able to find a community, but what about like in New York? Do you ever like meet up in person or no?
I
don't know.
I don't
I'm
think
just-
so. I
Go on
have,
hikes.
Yeah, yeah. Do you go upstate, go on hikes?
Yeah. Hey guys.
We kind of sometimes
Bring it
hide
back.
water from ourselves, and
Yeah.
we're like, oh, where's the water?
Yeah,
See?
glory days.
I haven't found that. I haven't really looked though, but I did look. I've been trying to find a therapist because like my old therapist like quit. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I was looking. I was like, are there therapists that specialize in like people who went to these schools? And there are like
Yeah, because it's a
there's-
whole backstory that you don't really have to like they have an understanding of it before you go in and divulge your like specific details.
Spend like
you know?
6 sessions
Right.
trying to explain.
Right.
Well, and I
bands.
remember I had a therapist. I obviously was in therapy before I got sent here, and then I was back in therapy after. And I remember my therapists were like, "I can't believe your parents sent. Like, we did not want them to send you there."
Yeah.
And they were like,
Horrified.
We were like, we did not think that would be helpful.
And you're like, you're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I guess that's like the most probably sensitive question is like, what the fuck with your parents? Do they feel guilty?
They've never apologized.
They
But-
should do that.
But they also, I think, there's a lot of like, well, we didn't know what else to do, which I get. Like, if my kid were really troubled and we had tried a bunch of things and they were still like trying to kill themselves all the time, like,
And
what
again,
do you do?
again, like you hear from these quote unquote experts that
Right.
are telling you this
Mhm.
is the way. So
Right.
like, I don't want to give too much leniency to parents that send their kids to places like this, but at the same time, like, like they're at the end of the rope. And They don't
Right.
really know.
They
what
were
to
told this is where
They're
to
like,
go.
your daughter will die if she doesn't do
Right.
this, and you're like,
Right.
okay.
They
like-
literally like,
So fair enough if they're like, out the gate being duped as well.
Mhm.
You hope adults will look into it a little bit more, but okay.
Adults
But
go
then-
into cults all the time.
You're right.
So
That's a fair point.
like,
But then on the flip side, like at the end of the day, like, I mean, that's got to be tough on. We don't need to go into this if you're not comfortable with
fine.
it, but like that's got to be tough on the relationship afterwards to be like, hey, I'm sorry about that.
so it kind of wasn't for a while. Like, I had a really bad relationship with them before I went away. We worked on that, like, over therapy, like over the phone. Afterwards, it was actually pretty good. It got bad again after the school got shut down. And I
Right.
feel like was when I like processed it all again.
Like, wait a minute. Yeah.
And I remember I was talking to a therapist, specifically, not a good therapist. So I think maybe if I had talked to like a better therapist about this, it would have been fine. But we talked a lot about the school, and it ended up being like I just couldn't really talk to my parents for a while. And like they would try to, and I would just be like, they'd be like, well, why haven't you been like calling us? And it's just like, honestly, like I want a relationship with you, but like,
I'm pissed.
yeah, like,
And rightfully so.
and there was stuff before this where I was like, the way they treated me
Yeah.
before this, there were issues.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, they follow me on Instagram, so I don't want to say too. I mean, I just won't post this on Instagram.
No,
we won't make
I
this
mean,
a clip.
on,
Yeah.
on the flip side, I understand obviously that I'm sure they love you and thought they were doing the
Yeah,
best, and it's
yeah.
all
Yeah.
good. But in general, it sounds like it's one of those things where in retrospect, I'd hope that they'd have a different opinion on what they should have done.
I do think they agree that this was not the best place for me.
Right.
But I also don't think, like, if they were to do it again, I don't know, would they have picked something else? You know,
They don't
like,
have a plan B necessarily. Yeah.
I think like maybe a residential treatment center could have worked, but even those, there are problems with those, you know?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, nothing's like perfect.
I also think that I haven't really heard of many
This is far from perfect, obviously.
vulnerable populations getting treatment from groups that have money to be made off of them, not getting some sort of, hopefully you'll have as many people that are successful through it as possible. But then there's certainly the people who are going to get further taken advantage of, especially if there's monetary gain.
Yeah.
Which in this case, what was it? $24 billion?
23. Don't go
23.
crazy.
Don't inflate the
Oh,
numbers.
never mind. In that
Yeah.
case, it's like,
You're just trying to make them look bad.
Yeah.
I
Laura.
know. I'm on a crusade
Yeah.
over here.
So I read a quote that was pretty upsetting because I spent, whatever, like 30 minutes on this website for like Paris Hilton's little website that she's, whatever it's called. And code, what is it?
Breaking code.
Breaking
silence,
code.
yeah.
Thank you. Breaking code silence. And basically one of the headmasters or whatever you would call them, the owners of the school, they were saying, they were like, oh, these are troubled teens that turned into troubled adults that are now trying to make like financial profit off of this. And it's like, Paris Hilton is not trying to make any sort of profit off of anything. Okay.
Yeah.
She could literally buy your life 10 times, a million times over. So what are you talking about?
She's not worried about whatever $1,500 she might make off of like
Right.
some class action
I'm
lawsuit
sure this-
against these now bankrupt organizations.
This probably took so long to come into the light because then it's so easy for adults to be like, well, they're crazy.
Oh,
That's
also,
why they're there.
Also, my parents got money back from insurance. Like, this was like covered by some people's insurance.
Wow.
That is insane.
Meanwhile, like, I don't think like rehab facilities are. If you need
Yeah.
to go for like
No,
drugs or
there's-
alcohol, something that could actually help you.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's solve it right now.
If you're out there and you run a school, maybe don't.
Yeah, maybe
yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
Cut
don't
it
like and
out.
subscribe. Everybody
Yeah.
else, though.
No, you can like and subscribe and leave
5
5
stars.
stars.
5
That
stars.
would be
Tell
wonderful.
your friends. Tell your students.
Yeah.
We could use it. We're the only approved watching thing.
I think that also, so Paris Hilton, I guess she must have gone like more than 10 years before I did. And schools have gotten like, it's like less intense over the years because parents complain.
Yeah.
Stuff
Right.
like that.
Social media and stuff. I mean, I've seen TikToks of people
Yeah.
like just telling crazy stories.
Right. So like I was actually looking at, so I went to school in 2010 and 2011. And I remember looking at stuff from like 2014 and I was like, they were allowed to do what there? Like,
Yeah.
man, they don't know what it was like back in my day. There's actually a guy on TikTok who I blocked him because he went to the school after I did and he's like got a bunch of followers and he straight up like exaggerates what happens. And I'm like, listen, it's bad enough if you just tell the truth. Like,
Yeah.
and like Paris Hilton duetted him too. And I was like, listen, buddy, you were allowed to like, I don't know, skateboard or whatever.
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Lindsay,
how would
is
she
this-
know? Yeah.
is this you
Lindsay's
tattletaling
narking
again?
She's narking again.
I will tag him down below.
Oh my god.
How dare he?
That's so funny.
He's on bans.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I blocked him. I banned him.
He's banned. He is banned. You got to go back to camp, Lindsay.
So
you're
you're
not
still
done.
in touch with a lot of people. Like how? I mean, again, without getting into specifics about certain people, like on average, like how are people doing well? Are they doing?
Okay, so there have been some deaths.
Yeah.
Right. Wait. Sorry. How did they die? How did these
So
people
the kid
die?
that like was the violent thing. So some of it's drugs. So this kid, I think he was like jumping off of the roof of a building into a pool
Oh wow.
and like died.
Oh.
But I think
okay.
there is a lot of drug overdose type stuff, which is
Yeah,
like
suicides.
my
that kind of thing
parents-
that I've seen.
like I think I've said stuff where it was like, I mean, these people weren't doing well, and they're like, yeah, but they also weren't doing well before the school. So it is hard to tell. Like,
Right.
was it the school? Was it stuff that was going on before?
It's definitely a lot of like deniable plausibility or whatever.
And that's
it's-
probably how, I mean, what a great business model. They're like,
Right.
Yeah.
worst case scenario, it's already people who are at risk. Easy way to switch liability
Right.
Yeah.
off of us. And you signed the waiver.
I will say I do have nightmares that I got sent back. Often. I have.
Oh,
nightmares.
sorry, man. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. That
You're
would
like
be
giggling.
terrible.
You're like,
It's great for comedy.
Yeah.
well, I mean, God, I feel like we could talk about this forever.
Oh yeah,
but
there's so much
I
that I
know.
feel like, oh, I didn't mention this, but it's you need like 10 hours to like.
I know this could be like a whole separate podcast on its own.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed it, or if you have any things that we should dig into in more detail, do let us know. Like write in, and maybe we can.
Yeah, I'd be down to have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to. This is
and
fun.
go
I love
forward
talking.
more.
I love talking about myself.
I love hearing about you, so it works out.
It's weird that a comedian likes to talk about
That's
themselves.
Crazy.
I've never heard that before. That's weird. Guys, like and subscribe, and also check out like Paris Hilton and what she has to say about this. Breaking Code Silence, which I forgot the name of 1,000 times, but it's Breaking Code Silence. So look that up. Donate where you can.
Follow Lindsay.
Follow
also,
Lindsay.
She's very
funny. Where can
funny.
we find you?
I'm on like all social media as it's my name, Lindsay Lucido, which I can spell it as a LINDSAYLUCIDO. We
And we'll tag it as well.
We'll tag you as well. She's got a great TikTok, great everything else. Check her out. Great ass.
Great ass.
All
Yeah.
that stuff.
That diabetes
Yeah,
being
thank
fucking
you.
sharp.
Like and subscribe, rate 5 stars, and we'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed.
Bye.
Bye.